We're going to start with Thursday Night Football because it's actually a very compelling game. The Pittsburgh Steelers facing the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland wins one game, and everyone jumps right back in. They're a 3-point favorite now. They were 2.5 yesterday and early this morning when we printed our article, but they're now 3. So with it at 3, how are you feeling?
I think you got to like Cleveland here still. Well, and here's the other thing. So it's 3 even money, 2.5 minus 1 to what we printed on the website today. Those are basically equivalent bets. So go, with whatever you'd like, But I think you have to like Cleveland here. I think, as we wrote up, the Steelers have won 5 of their last 6. But what have they won 5 of their last 6 based on?
Just an egregious amount of turnovers.
26 turnovers so far this year for us. Second, and they're only 1 turnover behind the New England Patriots, who are the best defense since the '85 Bears. So, and you look a little bit deeper and you say, okay, who has Pittsburgh faced? Well, last week they faced the Rams, which, as we talked about on last week's pod, the Rams are not a good offense right now. They faced Indianapolis with Brian Hoyer, and they won that game because Brian Hoyer threw a pick 6 in the red zone.
Yep.
They faced Cincinnati. That was I believe their first win. And they faced Miami again, got behind 14-0, so on and so forth, right? So they have not faced good offenses. They've gotten a fair amount of turnovers for us. They turned over Jimmy G like 5 times in that game that we had them in, right? And you say, okay, well, that's great, but the Browns are a turnover machine. They're a disaster offensively. So can't these two things correlate with each other and imply a Pittsburgh Steelers win? And that's a good point, except for the fact that all these things are unstable, right? The fact of the matter is Baker Mayfield has thrown a lot of turnover-worthy passes, but Mason Rudolph has thrown more as a function of his dropbacks than Baker Mayfield. The drops that Mayfield's had, the batted passes Mayfield's had, all of those things are sort of regressible terms. And so, you're sort of still buying Cleveland at the bottom of their market. You're selling Pittsburgh at the top of the market. This just makes a lot of sense to go with Cleveland here minus the points.
Can I give you a counter argument?
No.
I'd like to give you one anyways. Do you know who coaches the Cleveland Browns?
Yes, we made it. Yes, we've made that very clear.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens. Case in point.
Well, here's the thing though.
Freddie Kitchens as a favorite in a game that now matters. I mean, the Browns are funny because last year everyone jumped on the bandwagon as a result of them winning games that didn't matter anymore. And in every game that has mattered, they have basically just pooped themselves, right? No one expected them to show up against Buffalo, so they show up. Now all of a sudden they've got a shot. Everyone's talking about, can they make the playoffs now? Is everything better? And the fundamentals underneath it are just a travesty. I mean, 12 plays inside the 5, they score 0 touchdowns.
That is what we call making a meal out of.
Maybe they should put a meal in the end zone, and then Freddie Kitchens can figure out a way inside it.
Horrible, terrible person.
It's just they still look discombobulated. They beat Josh Allen on the road. I don't think they deserve a medal for it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are the type of team that worries me a little bit against the Browns, and here's why: they are going to put pressure on the quarterback. Now, that means they can get beat because they're going to blitz a lot to do so. But if we know anything about Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns so far, it's that they have handled pressure poorly, whether it's from the outside or on the field. And that worries me about this. So I think the right side, and the math says the right side, is the Cleveland Browns. But I am a little tentative. 2.5 is the number that I would go with. Remember, if you want to see more of the sides for all these games, or if there's any game that we brush over that you want to check out, you go to pff.com, get yourself an elite subscription, and then you can see all this stuff. With PFF Greenline, you also get all of the FBS content.
Here's a question for the total, because it's right now at 42. I've looked at it's gone up, right? And so public likes betting overs. Pittsburgh, as we've talked about, are one of the worst teams in the NFL in early parts of games, as is Cleveland, right? I mean, both of those teams are very slow out the gate. Does this entice you at all to bet something like under 20 first half points?
You know my religion. I bet on things that are correlated with the team's incentives, which are to win the game, and that ain't one of them. So I am staying away.
Okay. See, because I can see I can understand why you'd bet over total game. This game might go into overtime. Mayfield might figure it out. Obviously, Rudolph has been a guy who's figured it out later in games. But first half, I think these two teams play patty cake for
Sure,
and go under the total. But that's all.
Both quarterbacks have a propensity for turning the ball over.
Yeah.
So them playing badly to start the game could be detrimental to that.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.